So we're going Commonwealth, European and British to start. Okay, heavyweights, cruisers even, nearly cruisers, and like heavyweights from 81 to 84. Just as a little bit of a top up. So we'll get the next lot. So March the 30th, 1981, Gordon Ferris wins and points over 12 rounds against Billy Aird. On a 15 rounds points decision in Birmingham, England. Then October the 12th, 1981, Neville Mead wins by KO in the first round against Gordon Ferris in Birmingham, England. Won the Lonsdale bout outright. Then September the 22nd, 1983, David Pearce wins. Referee stops the fight in the 9th round, it says there, in Cardiff. So it says something about Pearce being disqualified from boxing. I'll have to check that out, put it on the next video. Then September the 18th, 1985, Hero Curry wins and points over 12 rounds against Funzo Banjo in London, England. April the 12th, 1986, Horace Notice wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Hero Curry at the Isle of Man. May the 26th, 1987, Horace Notice wins in the 5th round. Referee stops the fight against Dave Garside, London, England. November the 3rd, 1987, Horace Notice wins by KO in the 3rd round against Paul Lister, Sunderland, England. May the 6th, 1988, Horace Notice wins in the 10th round. Referee stops the fight against Hero Curry in London, England. British Cruiserweight, so that's the heavyweights done now. Cruiserweight British title. Just started around here, but it started in the world scene in the late 70s. I think it was 79, 78, I'm sure. But here we are, 85 on this scene, the British scene. October 31st, 1985, Sammy Reeson wins on points over 12 rounds against Stuart Lithgow in Wandsworth, England. October 25th, 1986, Andy Strawn wins on points over 12 rounds against TJ. And Stephen Idram in seeing that on telly. February 17th, 1987, Roy Smith wins on points over 15 rounds against Andy Strawn and Alfreton. May the 9th, 1987, TJ wins in the 1st round. Referee stops the fight against Roy Smith in Wandsworth, England. January 21st, on 1988, Glenn McCory wins on points over 12 rounds against TJ in Battersea. April 23rd, 1988, Glenn McCory wins by retirement in the 8th round against Lou Gent in Gateshead. Reeson relinquished the title. So light heavy's going to go for 1981, light heavyweight British title. We go 1981. So let's go 80. Bunny Johnson. I swear he became a lawyer or something like that at the end of his career. I'm going to line. So I digress. 1980. He won the. I swear he won the Lonsdale here. Yeah. So February 26th, 1980, Bunny Johnson wins on points over 15 rounds against Dennis Andrews in Burslem. Then March 15th, 1982, Tom Collins wins on points over 15 rounds against Dennis Andrews in London, England. Then May the 26th, 1982, Tom Collins wins in the 4th round by KO against Trevor Cattouse in Leeds. Then March the 9th, 1983, Tom Collins wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight. It's Antonio Harris in Solihull. He won the Lonsdale bout outright. Then 1984, year of the Los Angeles Olympics. Moscow boycotted it to get them back for the 1980 Moscow Olympics. So this is 1984, year of the Los Angeles Olympics. January 26th, 1984, Dennis Andrews wins on points over 12 rounds against Tom Collins in London, England. April the 6th, 1984, Dennis Andrews wins on points over 12 rounds against Tom Collins. 12 rounds points decision in Watford, England. October the 10th, 1984, Dennis Andrews wins by KO in the 12th round against Devon Bailey in London. He won the bout outright in a record time of 258 days, Dennis Andrews. Again, he operated around the national scene before he hit the world scene, winning the world title 3 times, a record. So 1986, the year of the Mexico Football World Cup, Argentina won. Here we are. So, February 13th, 1986, Dennis Andrews wins in 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Keith Bristol in Longford. September 10th, 1986, Dennis Andrews wins in the 9th round. Referee stops the fight. London, England, I remember seeing that. March the 11th, 1987, Tom Collins wins in 10th round. Referee stops the fight against John Moody in London, England. Then 1987, December 15th, 1987, Tony Wilson wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Blaine Longsdon in Cardiff, Wales. May the 10th, 1988, year of the Seoul Olympics, where Roy Jones got robbed against the Korean. Worst decision in history. May the 10th, 1988 here. Tony Wilson wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Brian Schumacher in Tottenham. So, let's go to... So that's the British. Done the light heavy there. Yeah, light heavy. I'm going to go for the Commonwealth next. Starting off in a heavy. So, 81 to 80 I'm doing. So, yeah, Trevor Berwick. Yeah, good fighter, horrible human being. But won't even go there. So, you can always check that out. So, July 22nd, 1981. Trevor Berwick from Canada wins in the 2nd round against Conroy Nelson from Canada, also in Halifax, Nova Scotia. Yeah, I swear that must have been for the Canadian title, I'd imagine. So I know he won that. Well, it might have been just before, both from Canada. Yeah, he was the first one since Chavala, I'm sure. Trevor Berwick. So, back to this. 1982, year of the Spain World Football Cup, which Italy won there. But here we are, March the 5th, 1982. Trevor Berwick from Canada wins 11th round. Referee stops the fight against Gordon Rassett from Canada. 11th round there. In Nanaimo, British Columbia, fought over 12 rounds, but it wasn't. Yeah, so September the 9th, 1983, Trevor Berwick from Canada wins by KO in 10th round against Ken Lucusta from Canada in Edmonton, Canada. Then 1984, year of the Los Angeles Olympics, September the 1st, 1984, Trevor Berwick wins in the 4th round. Referee starts the fight against Ernie Barr in the Bahamas, in Nassau, Bahamas. First one, who wasn't from Canada. In his defences. Then 1986, year of the Mexico Football World Cup. So, Horace Notice from that Lawless stable. Gary Mason, etc. But anyway, yeah, so, yeah, and Lawless, Mason, Bruno all had eye problems, that stable. And Notice retired, I'm sure, and I think Mason wasn't far from that, having problems. So anyway, I digress. April the 12th, 1986. Horace Notice from England wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Hugh Roy Curry from England in the Isle of Man. And then 1987, so March the 4th, 1987. Horace Notice from England wins in the 8th round against Proud Kilimanjaro from Zimbabwe, from Dudley, England. And that's why he died of HIV, something very early. He died, Proud Kilimanjaro. I remember that fight also. It's a shame, quite young. So May the 26th, 1987, Horace Notice wins in the 5th round. Referee stops the fight against Dave Garside of England in Wembley, England. And then we got to the top there, so the Commonwealth here. December the 2nd, 1987, Horace Notice wins in the 4th round. Referee stops the fight against Dean Waters from Australia in Wembley, England. Then March the 9th, 1988, Horace Notice wins in the 10th round. Referee stops the fight in the 10th round against Hero Curry from England, in London, England. Then we've got the Commonwealth Cruiser, 195 pounds or 13 stone 13. Yeah, like I say, it was on the world scene in the 70s, the Cruiser, I'm sure, from what I remember. 79, 78 rings a bell. But here we are with the Commonwealth Cruiser. So, year of the Los Angeles Olympics, 1984, May the 14th, 1984. Stuart Lithgow from England wins 11th round. Referee stops the fight against Steve Axel from Australia in Brisbane, Australia. December the 1st, 1984, Crisanda Muti from Zambia wins in the 9th round. Referee stops the fight against Stuart Lithgow from England in Dusseldorf, Germany. Then 1986, year of the Mexico Football World Cup, which Argentina won. May the 9th, 1986, Crisanda Muti from Zambia wins by KO in the 11th round against Dave Russell from Australia. It was in Melbourne, Australia. September the 4th, 1987, Glenn McCrory from England wins on points over 12 rounds against Crisanda Muti from Zambia in Gateshead, England. Then January 21st, 1988, Glenn McCrory wins on points over 12 rounds against TJ of England in London, England. I remember all these fights on the VHS, etc. So, to finish the Cruiser, 1988 Eurosol Olympics. Troy Jones gets robbed. But April the 22nd, 1988, Glenn McCrory from England wins by retirement in the 8th round against Lugent, Gateshead, England. And again, Eubanks would fight him later on. Yeah, Lugent. That's when he was on his Sky deal later on in his career. So let's go light heavies. 81-ish. Let's go 82. Yeah, so 82. Carrying on. So, 1982, May the 17th, 1982, Lewis Mwali from Zambia wins in the 13th round. Referee stops the fight against Crisanda Muti from Zambia in Lusaka, Zambia. Then, December the 5th, 1982, year of the Spain Football World Cup, which Italy won. December the 5th, 1982, Lewis Mwali from Zambia wins by KO in the 13th round against Kid Powers of Zimbabwe in Lusaka, Zambia. So, May 30th, 1983, Lewis Mwali from Zambia wins in the 2nd round. Referee stops the fight against Billy Savage from Nigeria in Lusaka, Zambia. Then March the 12th, 1983, Lewis Mwali from Zambia wins in the 3rd round. Referee stops the fight against Mustafa Wasaja from Uganda. And that was in Lusaka, Zambia. October the 8th, 1983, Lewis Mwali wins on points over 12 rounds against Crisanda Muti from Zambia in Lusaka, Zambia. Then August the 4th, 1985, Leslie Stewart from Trinidad wins on points over 12 rounds against Lewis Mwali from Zambia. That's in Port of Spain, Trinidad. Then September the 18th, 1986, Leslie Stewart from Trinidad wins in the 5th round. Referee stops the fight against Gary Hubble from Australia, Sydney, Australia. And then September the 12th, 1987, Willie Featherstone from Canada wins on points over 12 rounds against Enoch Charles from Zambia in Nova Scotia, Canada. Then December the 8th, 1987, Willie Featherstone from Canada wins on points over 12 rounds against Danny Lindstrom from Canada in Toronto, Canada. Then May 27th, 1988, Willie Featherstone from Canada wins on points over 12 rounds against Dave Fiddler from Canada in Port Hawkesbury, Canada. So we got a European heavy and light heavy. So starting off in 1981. So 88. So 1981. November the 26th, 1981. Luis Rodriguez from France wins on points over 15 rounds against Philippe Rodriguez from Spain. That was in Paris. 15 rounds points decision. Then the next year it changes to a 12. So it just shows you what's going on in boxing there. The old 15 round distance went. Yeah, at this area of British. So, yeah, been around. So the European, shall I say? So again, 1982, year of the Spain Football World Cup, we Italy won. But here we are, March the 6th, 1982. Lucien Rodriguez from France wins on points over 12 rounds against Albert Seiben from Belgium, Paris, France. Then, April the 2nd, 1982, Lucien Rodriguez from France wins on points over 12 rounds against Mikan Popovic from Yugoslavia in Pau. Then, June the 7th, 1982, Lucien Rodriguez from France wins on points over 12 rounds against Alfredo Evangelista from Spain in Paris. Then November the 11th, 1982. A busy year. Lucien Rodriguez from France wins some points over 12 rounds against Domenico Adinolfi from Italy in Paris, France. Then August the 5th, 1983. Lucien Rodriguez from France wins on a retirement in the 8th round against Al Seiben from Belgium in Nimes, France. Then March the 30th, 1984, Lucien Rodriguez from France wins on points over 12 rounds against David Pearce from the UK in Le Morges, France. Then November the 9th, 1984, Stefan Tangstedt wins on points over 12 rounds against Lucien Rodriguez from France, Copenhagen, Denmark. March the 9th, 1985. Anders Eklund from Sweden wins in the 4th round. Referee stops the fight against Stefan Tamstad from Norway in Copenhagen, Denmark. October the 1st, 1985. Frank Bruno wins by KO in the 4th round against Anders Eklund in Sweden, Wembley, England. Then 1986, year of the Mexico Football World Cup, which Argentina won. April the 18th, 1986, here Stefan Tangstedt from Norway wins on points over 12 rounds against Johnny Westgarth from the UK. It's in Randers, Denmark. August the 1st, 1987, Alfredo Evangelista from Spain wins in the 5th round. Referee stops the fight against Andre van den Otelaar. Again, I remember him in the kickboxing ring. He's from the Netherlands, and that was Bilbao, Spain. So, March 28th, 1987, Anders Eklund from Sweden wins by KO in the 7th round against Alfredo Evangelista from Spain, Copenhagen, Denmark. That was in. Then, October the 9th, 1987, Francesco Damiani from Italy wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Anders Eklund in Sweden. From Sweden, should I say, in Copenhagen, Denmark. Then, April 22nd, 1988, Francesco Damiani from Italy wins in the 3rd round. Referee stops the fight against John Emin from Netherlands in Milan, Italy. And I remember him in the world scene getting his nose broken against Ray Mercer. Yes, so cruiserweight, £195. Don't get muddled up, which what used to be called the light heavyweight division. They used to call the light heavy the cruiser, but it's not that. It's an actual statuated weight. Starting in the late 70s in the world scene. But again, here we are in 87. It's starting in the European. So, not £195, pound under the 14 stone limit, 13 stone 13. So, we start April 22nd, 1987. Cruiserweight here, Sammy Reeson from the UK wins on points over 12 rounds against Manfred Jasman from West Germany in London, England. Then 28th of November 1987, Sammy Reeson wins by KO, 7th round against Luigi Ricci from Belgium in Windsor, England. So, going to finish on the light heavies here, just to update all these. Yeah, so let's start from 1980, year of the Moscow Olympics, when the USA boycotted it, and you had the battle with Coe and Cram in the running, winning each other's events. So, January 28th, 1980, Rudy Koopmans from the Netherlands wins on points over 12 rounds against Ennio Cometti from Italy in Rotterdam. Then July the 9th, 1980, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands wins on points over 12 rounds against Fred Series from Luxembourg in Differdange. And again, Koopman would be an Ali opponent later on. So, not later on, earlier on in this actually. So, February 26th, 1981, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands, shall I say, wins in the 9th round by retirement against Hossein Tagger from France in Paris. Then, October the 5th, 1981, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands wins in the first round. Referee stops the fight against Fred Sears from West Germany. That was in Rotterdam, Holland. Then June the 2nd, 1982. That's the year of the Spain World Football Cup, which Italy won. June the 2nd, 1982, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands wins by KO in the first round against Cristiano Cavina from Italy in Cianano. Then November the 15th, 1982, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands wins in the 8th round. Referee stops the fight against Alex Blanchard from the Netherlands. Remember him? That was in Amsterdam, Holland. Then July the 10th, 1983, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands wins by KO in the 8th round against Manfred Jasman from West Germany in Frankfurt, Germany. Then November the 21st, 1983, Rudy Koopmans from Netherlands wins on points over 12 rounds against Rufino Orgulo from France in Paris, France. Then year of the Los Angeles Olympics, which the Russians boycotted to get the Americans back for their Moscow boycott. February the 2nd, 1984. Richard Karamanolis, so I butchered that. So February the 2nd, 1984, Richard Karamanolis from France. Richard Karamanolis from France wins by retirements in the 8th round against Rudy Koopmans from the Netherlands. That was in Marseille, France. Then 28th of May 1984, Alex Blanchard wins from the Netherlands. Wins in the 6th round. Referee stops the fight against Richard Karamanolis from France in Amsterdam, Holland. September the 15th, 1984, Alex Blanchard from Netherlands wins in the fourth round by retirement against Manfred Jasmin from West Germany in Dortmund, Germany. Then April 22nd, 1985, Alex Blanchard from the Netherlands draws over 12 rounds against Richard Caramanlis from France. It was in Rotterdam, Holland. December 11th, 1985, Alex Blanchard from the Netherlands draws over 12 rounds with Dennis Andrews from the UK in London, England. Then 1986, the year of the Mexico World Cup, which Argentina win. October 3rd, 1986, Alex Blanchard from Netherlands wins over 12 rounds against Ralph Rocchigani from West Germany. Later opponent for Eubanks. It was in Berlin, Germany, like his fight was. So, 1987, August the 15th, Alex Blanchard from the Netherlands wins in the 8th round by retirement against Enrico Scaccia from Italy in Bern, Switzerland. November 11th, 1987, Tom Collins from the UK wins in the second round by a second round KO against Alex Blanchard from the Netherlands in Usyk, Wales. Then to finish, May 20th, 1988, Euro Seoul Olympics, when Roy Jones gets robbed against Korean and Henry Akinwande gets his dole stopped. So he said he could get a job as a professional boxer while he was doing the Olympics. They did that. Back to this. So May 20th, 1988, Tom Collins from the UK wins by KO in the 9th round against Mark Kaler from the UK, West Ham in Wembley, England. So that's the end of that mix. Just to update the light heavy and the cruisers, new cruisers around this time, and the heavyweights.